Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jocelyn, and for today's topic, I am going to discuss the disadvantages of being a dual citizen. In my previous videos, I have discussed the benefits of being a dual citizen of two countries. However, there are also disadvantages in having two nationalities. One of the biggest disadvantages is that you can be subject to double taxation. So how can this happen? This type of double taxation is called the jurisdictional double taxation. This means that one source of income can be taxed by two countries depending on the domestic laws in respect of the same transaction. Double taxation can be avoided by tax agreements between several countries, offering relief such as tax credits or exemptions for foreign income. I received a comment from one of my subscribers, and he said that under the Philippine Comprehensive Tax Reform Program of 1997, incomes earned overseas by Filipinos from 1998 onwards are no longer taxable by the Philippine government. Another comment was posted regarding reacquisition of Filipino citizenship, and it allowed that person to own a property in the Philippines and also travel back and forth every year to the Philippines. There was also an observation regarding having dual citizenship, especially for a younger person. So that person said that if you have dual citizenship and you are trying to get a job that requires a security clearance, you will never get that clearance. So there's always the question of your loyalty to the US. Examples would be certain federal government jobs or occupations in the military and jobs with private companies that are military or government contractors. There is also one observation regarding having dual citizenship or reacquisition of Filipino citizenship. The Philippine government or Congress should repeal the law that mandates automatic forfeiture of Filipino citizenship when one becomes a naturalized citizen of a foreign country. When a foreigner applies for and becomes a naturalized Filipino citizen, he does not forfeit his original citizenship. So I found 5 different reasons why you shouldn't be a dual citizen. There are actually 2 kinds of dual nationalities. The first is that you can be a dual citizen by operation of law, and the second is that you can also be a dual citizen by choice. A Filipino or former Filipino who has a child born abroad can submit a report of birth for the child. The child can obtain dual citizenship by operation of law, and once the report of birth has been submitted and approved, the child can apply for a Philippine passport. The child do not need to take an oath of allegiance because the child is considered a dual citizen by operation of law. Now, the second type of dual citizenship is dual citizenship by choice. For this type of dual citizenship, a Filipino who migrated abroad and lost his or her Filipino citizenship by virtue of foreign naturalization can reacquire Filipino citizenship. He must apply for dual citizenship and must take an oath of allegiance. This is what it means to be a dual citizen by choice. So there are positive actions that must be performed by a former Filipino citizen. First reason is the allegiance to both countries. So let me explain this concept. What does it mean to have allegiance to both countries? It means that you are bound by the laws, by the restrictions and obligations of both countries. For example, if you live in the US, you must be bound by US laws, and if you are in the Philippines, you must also be bound by Philippine laws. Please remember that if you are a US citizen, wherever you may be located, you are always bound by US laws. For example, some countries require citizens to complete military service. However, in the US, you are not allowed to be a member of a foreign military service. If you do that, you may lose your US citizenship. Always understand first the laws of both countries before becoming a dual citizen.
Second reason is the possibility of double taxation.
For the possibility of double taxation, there are two questions that must be asked. First, where did you earn your income? And second, where are you currently living? As a general rule, you may be required to pay taxes in both countries, regardless of where you live and work if you are a dual citizen, but there are exceptions. Please remember that if you are a dual citizen, you must always file a federal income tax return regardless of your residence, whether you live in the US or abroad. For example, you are a US citizen, and if you live in the Philippines, you must still file a US federal income tax return. This is the exception. If you are a dual citizen of US and the Philippines, there is a tax treaty between the two countries. It was signed on October 1st of 1976. So what does it mean to have a tax treaty? So here is the explanation. This tax treaty can eliminate tax liability to avoid double taxation. Let's say you are a US citizen and also a Philippine citizen, but you live in the US. You are earning income in the US. The question is, do you have to file an income tax return in the US and the Philippines or only in the US? The answer is you don't have to file an income tax return in the Philippines, but only in the US file a US income tax return. So this treaty between the US and the Philippines serves as an agreement between the two countries to determine taxation of income from both countries and the legal right to tax according to their respective laws. So there are a lot of topics in this treaty, including the avoidance of double taxation, residency requirement, and the taxation of various forms of income. For example, if you own a business and you have a business profit, and also dividends, interest, pensions, and capital gains. So if you have income from both countries, and if you own businesses in both countries or in one country as well, you must understand the significance or the key aspects of the tax treaty.
The third reason is the entry and exit requirements for dual citizens.
Let's say you have both a US passport and a Philippine passport, and you are coming from the US to the Philippines. Always use the US passport when exiting the US and then entering the US. You don't necessarily need to show your Philippine passport when leaving the US. When you are entering Philippines, you can show them both passports. If you are exiting Philippines, you can show them both passports as well. If you are a Filipino citizen, you can stay indefinitely in the Philippines. But if you only showed a US passport, there is a possibility that they will only give you a 30 days visa-free stay in the Philippines.
The fourth reason is the enforcement of military service to dual citizens.
Please take note that there are countries that recognize dual citizenship that don't impose mandatory military service on their citizens. However, there are also plenty of countries that compel its own citizens to do national service at a certain age.
The fifth reason is the limited assistance to dual citizens, especially if you live in a foreign country.
Having dual citizenship can also pose some personal challenges, such as having a cultural identity and having a close connection to a certain country. In some countries, you may not be eligible for the same level of government assistance as a person who has a single citizenship. And there are certain subsidies or benefits that you may not be able to avail of if you have dual citizenship.
If you have any other questions or comments, please post them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Again, thank you guys for supporting my channel. And if you haven't liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always welcome new subscribers. Thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.